Power ranking time, NFL top 10 teams. Colin Cowherd's herd hierarchy will be reacting to this video. But first, let's take a look at my top 10. We do this every week. This is going into the games last week, and this is how it's changed. Boom! There it is now. Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Jaguars, Lions, Bengals, Cowboys, Dolphins, Niners, and Browns. A lot of what we talked about last week came to fruition, ladies and gentlemen. Our predictions were correct. The Chiefs, good win. Good win. I'll say that. Good win. So they move up. Jacksonville's on a bye, so unfortunately they drop. Detroit moves up. Cincinnati, I made a video on the channel. I had the guts to put it on publish. I scheduled it to be published an hour before they played the Bills. That's how confident I was in what I said. Because if that video goes live and they get rolled by the Bills, I look like a fool. And in that video, I said, go get a ticket on the Bengals to win the Super Bowl. Last chance. Last chance to get a value ticket on the Bengals to win the Super Bowl, because this team is going to keep rising. They are really good. Joe Burrow could be your MVP. They move up to 6. Cowboys, they are who we thought they were. They beat up beat up bad teams, and they lose to good teams. It's who they have been there the entire time. And Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott, they are not changing who the Cowboys are. The Cowboys should be in the top 10, but they certainly should not be in the top 5. Miami, oh, my, how the mighty have fallen. Miami just can't beat good teams this year. Here's a stat for you. In games against teams with a winning record, Miami's offense is averaging 17 points per game. Oof. Oof. One time we were saying this is a generational offense. At one time we were saying this is the most creative offense, one of the best offenses we've ever seen. And they are. If they're playing Carolina, they are. If they're playing New England, but not if they're playing a good team. Frisco on a bye week, and Cleveland rounds out the top 10. Now, you may be saying, what about Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh's in the playoffs, same record as Cleveland. Let me tell you this about Pittsburgh. They are the fakest of the playoff teams right now. They've been outgained in every single game. Mike Tomlin is finding a way to win. What a coach he is. I am not putting a team with Matt Canada as their offensive coordinator in the top 10. So that is my top 10 right here. Let's move on to Colin's top 10 and see where he agrees / disagrees.
On a Tuesday, fire away.
Herd hierarchy.
Let's go.
Let's go.
The top 10 NFL teams according to Colin.
I'm going to put the
Number
Chargers.
10.
I'm going to put the Chargers at 10. They're tied for the best turnover differential in the league, +9.
I don't know. I mean, I just don't see. The only way you can really, you have to ignore everything. You have to just look at the roster and be like, man, these names are cool. Like, these names are sweet. Austin Eckler's sweet. Keenan Allen's sweet. Justin Herbert's sweet, right? Khalil Mack's sweet. Bosa's sweet. Like, you got to look at all that and say, I like these names. I like these players. And you have to throw out Justin Herbert's results in his career. You have to throw out Brandon Staley and his results in his career. You have to throw out all of that. You have to throw out the past, the actual defensive statistics for the Chargers this year. But if you just look at it as if you were building a Madden team or a fantasy football team, I could see where the Chargers would be appealing.
They never turn it over. 6 giveaways all year. Herbert doesn't throw picks or fumble. Their red zone offense. Last night they were 2 for 2. Austin Eckler, they're not a good run team, but Eckler can make and find crevices in tight spots. Listen, they don't turn it over. 3 guys that can rush the passer. They've got an elite quarterback. I don't always love the coach, but I'm sorry, last night, special team.
3 guys that can rush the passer. I have a sneaky feeling if we looked at some defensive stats, it would go to say the opposite of the Chargers. I would go to say that the Chargers defense is terrible. So I understand that they do have guys that can rush the passer, no doubt about it. But as of right now, the defense has been putrid. So that using that, bit questionable. Also, the punt return, you talk about random as random gets. The Jets had the number 1 special teams in the NFL, and they gave up a punt return. So it shows you how, let me tell you this about the game last night too. I don't want to get too much on the Chargers here, but that is the most that's a box score where everything went wrong for the Jets. Everything went wrong for the Chargers. YPP, I'm pretty sure the Jets had a higher yards per play. The Chargers, I think, had 3 fumbles, all of them recovered by the Chargers. The Jets had 4 fumbles, 3 of 4 recovered by the Chargers. So it just goes to show you that, sometimes you have to look a little deeper. The game this week against Detroit will tell you a lot about the Chargers. The box score against the Jets was phony. The box score was fake. And obviously when the Jets are a team where they get behind, they struggle. Well, when you have 4 fumbles and 3 of them go against you, and you can't get any fumbles from the other team, and your number 1 ranked special team gives up a punt return touchdown, when all that happens, what are you going to do? So I wouldn't put too much into that box score, but they have a huge game against Detroit. So we'll see. I have a sneaky feeling. I'll make a prediction. The Chargers are not in Colin's top 10 next week.
Teams getting sacks, red zone excellence. I'm putting them at 10.
Number 9.
I don't know what to do with Seattle. I don't.
Seattle's not good. Seattle, let me rephrase that. Seattle is not as good as we thought they were because Geno isn't as good as he was last year. Geno had a good year last year, and we said, wow, I like the Seahawks. I like what they have going on here. I like what they have kind of as far as the roster and the defense and the coach and all that stuff. But it all hinges on Geno. Can Geno be good enough to kind of guide this team? As of right now, he hasn't. As of right now, he has not. So they got rolled by the Ravens. It is what it is. I think Seattle, to me, they probably would be 11, right? For me, they'd be, if I was going further, they'd be in that first wave of honorable mentions. I'd have them at 11, but they do need to right the ship. They do need to kind of this shows you how different me and Colin's top 10s are. He had them at 9 last week. They lose 37-3, and they don't move. How's that happen? So it just shows you our grading is a little different.
They're one of 3 teams with a winning record and a negative point differential.
Yeah,
I
not
trust
good.
Pete. I like their
That's
run
not good.
game. They get after the passer. But they've turned into 8 turnovers in 4 games. Geno Smith has a ceiling. It's one of these things. I respect the front office. I respect Pete. They run the football. They get after the passer. But, that Geno thing, you watch Baltimore, that gets ugly fast.
Yeah.
Number 8.
Dallas. They outgained the Eagles in the.
Okay, so we're right there. We're right there on Dallas. Dallas is going to bounce between 8 and 6, I think, for the rest of the year. They will have wins where they look really good, and they will have losses where they look really bad. And they will just kind of do what Dallas does. It is what it is. This is the team I said it last week. I'll say the same thing. This is the team I feel the most confident in. And the entire top 10 is Dallas. That they're between 8 and 6 for the rest of the season. That I feel so good about that. Do I feel great about Baltimore being a top 2 team? No. Who knows what will happen? Do I feel great about the Eagles? No. Jalen Hurts is playing on a hurt leg. Do I feel good about the Chiefs? No, they can't score. But I feel great about having Dallas somewhere between 8 and 6.
The fourth quarter, 163 yards to 14. They match up with Philadelphia. They're just not as good at quarterback. They're just not as clever at coach. 29th ranked red zone offense this year. They miss Kellen Moore, period. But Dak's playing well. 3 straight games of a passer rating over 100. They're a bit like Philadelphia. Again, I like Jalen Hurts more than Dak.
They're nothing
like
Philadelphia.
Dominant receiver, good O-line, have a pass rush, not great at corner. Good running backs, not great. Dallas at 8.
Number 7.
But I take Detroit over them because they have the number 2 ranked offense. They're better in the red zone.
Yeah, I mean, look, we talked about Detroit, and they're off a bye week, so we can't say too much here. But I like Detroit a lot. I think Detroit is really good. I think Detroit has a little bit of everything. They have what you want in a team that can go far. And this is something else I've said before, and I'll say it again. I think Detroit will be the 1 seed in the NFC. The Eagles' schedule is so hard coming up. You got Frisco, Kansas City, Buffalo, Dallas again. Really hard schedule. And you don't know how healthy Jalen Hurts is. So there's losses coming for Philadelphia, unless they're the best team ever. Detroit, not so much. Go look at their schedule. You find me a loss. You find me a couple losses on Detroit's schedule. I'm telling you right now, the Detroit Lions will be the 1 seed in the NFC.
Jared Goff has 1 or fewer turnovers in every game this season. He doesn't melt down much, although Baltimore was ugly. I really like Detroit. I think Detroit and Dallas could play in the playoffs, and I think I would take Detroit because their O-line would hold off Lawrence and Micah Parsons. Like their culture, love their front office. I got the Lions at 7.
Even if you take away like all the intangibles with Dan Campbell and whatever, just look at the roster. Like really good offensive line, maybe the best offensive line in the NFL. Really good defensive line, can get after the quarterback, can throw the ball, playmakers, Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and good running game with playmakers in the backfield. Like, they have every single thing you want in a team, all wrapped up. The two most important things, here's a little golden tidbit. The two most important things a team can do: throw the ball and get after the quarterback. That is a really good start for success. If a team can do that really well, they can win. And the Lions can do both. Hutchinson can absolutely torment opposing quarterbacks. Their pass rush can be really good, and they can air the ball out. That's why I like Cincinnati so much. Cincinnati, S tier, absolutely top of the mountain when it comes to passing. And Trey Hendrickson can I mean, we saw it against the Rams. He can look like Reggie White when he wants to. Pass rush is really good. So I like Detroit a lot.
Number 6.
Jags, 11-2 over the last 13 games. They lead the NFL in takeaways. They do what good teams do.
So he's a little lower on Jacksonville than I am. I think maybe he might have punished him because of the bye. I'm not sure. But Jacksonville is similar to Detroit. I think Detroit's better. But Jacksonville does a little bit of everything really well. Trevor Lawrence is really good. They got a playmaker at running back. They've got wide receivers all over the place. Solid defense. Good coach. Okay, let's roll. And they have an easy schedule. Jacksonville could be your 1 seed in the AFC. You know, they have an easy schedule. They have proven they can beat teams they're supposed to beat. And they went through a really hard stretch. You know, I thought they were going to fall apart after London. They went through a really hard stretch and made it look easy. Good team. A bad team can't do that. A bad team cannot do that. Are they ready to make that jump? Same with Detroit. I love Detroit. I think Detroit's amazing. Do I think they're going to go straight from no playoffs to Super Bowl? I don't know about that. We might be a year away from that. Jacksonville, same thing. Do they go from, you know, a couple games over 500 playoff berth to winning an AFC title? We might be a year away. But these are two teams I'd be buying some serious stock in.
Offensive coach, quarterback, who can be a playmaker. They can run the ball, got star playmakers, semi-stars, and they take the ball away. I like them. They've held opponents under 20 in 4 of the last 5 games. They may be able to, in that division, rest starters down the stretch and get healthy. Jags, I've liked them in the offseason. I said I thought they could be the number 1 seed. They're at 6.
They could be.
Number 5.
San Francisco. Listen, it's interesting. Their schedule now.
Again, like he had him 7 last week. They're on a bye. They jump up to 5. They are getting healthy. Bye came at a perfect time. Purdy can kind of get his head right. You know, Deebo Samuel, he's practicing. San Francisco, 3 losses in a row. They have to start winning, okay? Because I think they're super talented, no doubt about it. I think they're sweet. But now you start to see a little bit of hesitation with Brock Purdy. You know, now you start to see, like, okay, he's been perfect his whole career. Hasn't lost. Then he loses, and now he can't win. Right? So now we need to see how they face adversity, how they handle this little hiccup, how they handle 3 losses in a row. Will they get back to just rolling teams? Will they get back to completely dominating games? If they do, we'll shoot them back up the top 10. And we'll know, okay, the injuries got them. Okay, understandable. No problem. We'll see. But we do have to see. So I'm going to sit back. That's why I have them lower on mine. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to let them prove it to me. If they start to roll the wins and just huge margin and everybody looks the same and everybody looks just as good, okay, no problem. We can start moving them up. But I do have to see it.
Now gets very, very interesting, and they don't have Trent Williams. Now, if Trent plays, they're fine. But they're 3-6 without their left tackle, and Brock Purdy's not a guy that can overcome that. Their defense is starting to show holes. Steve Wilks is not DeMeco Ryans. That's why they went and got Chase Young. If they lose to Jacksonville, look at their schedule going forward. It's a little scary. Yeah. But I do think Chase Young adds depth to an...
They're interesting because, I mean, we've talked about, before the losing streak, we talked about how San Francisco is one of the highest power-rated teams of all time. Okay? Then they lose 3 straight. Brock Purdy went from, hey, is this guy Tom Brady? To now it's... okay, is he starting to, show why he was Mr. Irrelevant? And if they lose to Jacksonville, and Jacksonville's tough, like Jacksonville is a team that can win this game. If they lose 4 straight, and they lose to Jacksonville, and they're 5-4, all of a sudden then it's like, well, what do we believe here? You know, do we believe in the roster? Do we believe in Shanahan's success? Or do we start to believe maybe Brock Purdy's not that good? Maybe their ceiling isn't as high as we thought. Maybe they were hot at the beginning of the year, but now it's starting to kind of wear off. You know, this is a huge game for San Francisco. It's not season defining or anything. They can still come back from a loss. So, you know, I don't want it to make it sound like they have to win or anything, but for the first time in a long time, there are real questions about San Francisco. I would say there's real concerns about how good they actually are.
Area that's already great, and they'll figure out a way down the stretch to get into the playoffs.
Number 4.
Philadelphia. Listen, Jalen Hurts is terrific. Stop doubting.
I don't know how you have them at 4. I mean, this is a team that's lost 2 games in 2 years. You know, this is a team that's not playing that well right now, and they have 1 loss. This is a team that their quarterback is hurt, but somehow he has 4 touchdowns every game. Oh, and also they have a play that no one can stop. The team's going to get better. Like that's a fact. Philadelphia will get better than they are. This version of Philly is not the best version of Philly. And this version of Philly has the most wins in the NFL. So that shows you how good a team is. Same with the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is disgusted with their offense right now. He's disgusted by how their offense is performing. Yet they're, you know, whatever, they're 6-2 or, you know, whatever the record is, and they're beating good teams. So it shows you how good those teams are. Philly, like I said, does have a really hard schedule. So I would assume they don't have 1 loss for very much longer. But if they keep beating the Chiefs of the world, the Bills of the world, the Niners of the world, the Cowboys of the world, it's hard not to have them 1 or 2. You know, this is a team that could have won the Super Bowl last year. This is a team that was really good last year. LOL, they're really good this year. So 4 is low for me. 4 is low. I think anything under 3 is insane. So we have them at 1, I believe, on mine, right? We have them 1. Yeah, I have them 1. I could listen to like, hey, Baltimore's better right now. Philly's 2. But to say they're the 4th best team, I don't know about that, Colin.
But this schedule's ugly. At the Chiefs, Bills, Niners, at the Cowboys. They're going to have some bumps here. They're going to lose some games over the next month. But I love their creativity.
Think about this, right? So Colin it's obvious he has the Bengals, Ravens, and Chiefs. This is 3. It's probably going to be, if I had to guess, Chiefs, Bengals, Ravens. The Bengals are good, but what are the Bengals right now? What's their record? The Bengals are, well, I guess Colin will show it, but to say the Bengals are better than the Eagles when the Bengals are around 500, you know, and they're not even going to win their division. The Bengals are probably going to not win their division. The Ravens are going to win the division, and you're going to have the Bengals higher than a team with 1 loss, 7-1, who's been basically unbeatable for 2 years.
O-line, D-line play. A.J. Brown is mostly unguardable. And there is an art to winning ugly. There is an art. Kansas City's done this. When you don't play great and win, that is talent. That's what.
And Colin, who just said that? Who just used that exact example? Who just said, oh, well, Kansas City does this. Oh, winning ugly. You know, if you're not playing great, but you're also winning. I said that 30 seconds ago. Something else here about the Eagles. The Eagles have somehow now, people like last year, they were kind of underrated. You know, they kind of came out of nowhere. Now people are almost like they refuse to say how good the Eagles are. They refuse to be like, this team is a dominant team. And it shows you with this. It shows you that they're quote unquote not playing well, and yet they're covering every game. They cover against Dallas. Not playing that well against a Dallas team who people like, who people think are good. And they cover. Not their best game. Whatever Colin said, Dallas outgained them in the 4th quarter. Doesn't matter. Eagles still covered. Good teams win. Great teams cover. And I bring up that all the time about covering because it's the easiest way to show if a team is overperforming or underperforming. And the Eagles overperformed even with injuries, even in a divisional game, like a prime spot for Dallas. The Eagles are kind of sleepwalking, playing hurt, and they still overperform. Like, what a team.
What championship teams do, I got them at 4.
Number 3.
Cincinnati at 3. Listen, Joe Burrow is 5-1 all-time against Mahomes and Allen. If you asked Andy Reid privately, this is the team he doesn't want to play.
Well, hell yeah. Yeah, I mean, of course. You don't want to play the best quarterback in the NFL. Spoiler. The Bengals do have an issue, though, and it's Jamar Chase is back. Jamar Chase had a tough fall last game. Now, apparently, he tweaked his back. They can't lose Jamar Chase. They cannot do that. The season for Cincy will be defined by the Thursday night game against Baltimore. Because if they lose that game, the division's over. And if the division is over, more than likely, Cincy will have to win multiple playoff games on the road. That's tough. That's tough for any team. Any team, much less, even the good teams. You don't want to go play 2-3 playoff games on the road. And that's what Cincinnati, if they lose that game against Baltimore, that's what they'll have to do. So that is that is tough. You do have to factor that in. No matter how good you think the team is, it's one game. You have one game situation where the result is I'm playing road playoff games. And then what's your ceiling? Because you better have some serious faith in the Bengals, some serious faith in Joe Burrow. If you're telling them, hey, go to Baltimore in the playoffs and win, then turn around and go to Arrowhead and win, not easy. Okay. And he mentioned the Bills. I'm not even so sure the Bills make the playoffs.
He got no interest. Pass rush, weapons, and Burrow is filthy. They lead the NFL in turnover differential. They never give the ball away once it gets to October. They just don't give it away. They are situationally as good as Kansas City. Great on third down and fourth
Agree
down.
with that.
Joe Burrow's on fire. Their defense is playing great.
Burrow could be the MVP. I mean, if you want a piece of Cincinnati, if you want to bet on him, something to root for, go find Joe Burrow's MVP tickets. He could get there.
Cincinnati 3.
Number 2.
Kansas City's first half was, to me, the best half of football by any team in the league this year.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I think San Francisco against Dallas might have been the best I've seen a team play this year. Frisco, when they dismantled the Cowboys. The Chiefs are one of those teams where I don't see it. I've written them off. I have drawn a line through them. You can't win with those wide receivers. You can't win with those players. Can't do it. You can be good. You can have Patrick Mahomes, but I don't think you can win the AFC and win the Super Bowl with those skill position players. Now, they're 7-2. So they're kind of proving me wrong. We'll see if Mahomes, he really might be the second coming of Tom Brady if he can somehow drag these receivers to a Super Bowl. But I'm drawing a line in the sand. I don't think he can do it. It's Travis Kelce or bust. That's it. Defense is sweet. No doubt about it. This is the best defense Mahomes has played with. One of the best defenses in the NFL, no doubt. But my God, that wide receiver room is maybe the worst in the league.
Absolutely woke up in a pissy mood and stomped Miami. It was great. But they couldn't put him away. Why? Because they're not going to be able to. It's just an average receiving corps. Now, it will grow, it will evolve, it will get better, but they're not the Kansas City that can come from behind 21-0 third quarter. They're not the Kansas City that's an avalanche.
It's crazy because I always do this with LeBron, talking about LeBron James, where it's like, hey, put LeBron on the last place team last year. Where do you think they would have finished? They probably would have made the playoffs. Put Mahomes on the Giants. What do you think happens? They're probably They're definitely a playoff team. They might be. They'd be one of the best offenses in the NFL. Put Mahomes on the Jets. They're a Super Bowl contender. Put Mahomes on the Panthers. I guarantee you they're not a one-win team. It's crazy how good this guy is, and it's crazy how good he makes everyone around him.
Get on top, and they keep rolling. Now, I will say Mahomes is ridiculous. He has completed passes to 15 different players.
Yeah.
So, he's making it work only like he can, but I have Kansas City at 2.
Number 1.
I've had Baltimore at 1 for a month. I think they're special. I think they are rolling downhill. Now you got OBJ, Flowers. I like everything about them.
Yeah, they're really, really good. We before the season, we on here on this channel, we talked about how my team, my dark horse AFC team would be Baltimore. And the team that I wanted to get some Super Bowl future tickets on and things like that. I have tickets on them to win the North. I believe in this team. I think Baltimore's awesome. Baltimore, it seems like the only thing Baltimore has to escape every year is injury. Seems like they always are fighting the injury bug. But Lamar Jackson's playing at an MVP level, one of the best coaches in the NFL. Their defense is absolutely gnarly. Mark Andrews is sweet. Like they were a really good team. We said they were a really good team last year, and then they go win 37-3. So I'm just going to be repeating myself, but I think the Ravens are legit. Again, the game against Cincy on Thursday night in a little over a week will tell us a lot.
Pass rush, coaching, depth, Lamar, 4-1 against winning teams. There's nothing I don't like about Baltimore.
4-1. They they beat Detroit by what, 35? They beat Seattle by 35. Like, not just wins, not just 4-1. They are absolutely, like, someone called Mel Gibson, because they are crucifying good teams.
But I do think Kansas City, if given the choice, would face Baltimore. Hi, everybody. Thanks for
100%. Oop, 100%. If given the choice, Kansas City would face Baltimore. 100%. They don't want to see Joe Burrow. They don't want to see Cincinnati. It's just one of those rivalry situations. They'll take their chance with Baltimore, but I do agree with Colin there. Let me know in the comments below what you think. What did you think about my top 10? What's your top 10? Put it down in the comments below. Where was I right? Where was I wrong? Same situation with Colin. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. I will see you in the next video.